Hey folks, let me show you how you can use RailsMaker to deploy a Rails application quickly and saving tons of time on setup on some sensible defaults that will allow you to have a pretty solid base for developing your project, especially for quick iteration. To show you, let's go first with the repository. There is a guide I created, which is 10 steps to production. It will take you very little time, around 15 minutes, to get all of this into prod. Let me start the clock to keep those 15 minutes in mind. We have some prerequisites. You need the gem installed and the domain name if you want to expose this somewhere. You need a couple of servers. That's the setup I'm doing. You don't need two. It could be just one, depending on the setup you want to create. In this case, I have one for the Rails application or applications and another one for metrics and analytics. Optionally, you can have an S3 bucket for database backups and a couple of other services like Google Cloud for auth, Sentry, Mailjet, Cloudflare, Observability for alerting. And just to show you, I set it up. Here I have the domain. I set it up with Cloudflare. By the way, I already created the subdomains because I realized it takes a while. So I have one IP address for the application and the same for both analytics and metrics. For metrics, it's DNS only because we are just exposing a port. These are the two servers that currently are just new cloud instances that I just created. Then we have Sentry, which is, I have a project and it's free. Currently, there is no data in this one. I also set up Mailjet. There are 6,000 emails per month. And then we also have Google Cloud. We have the auth platform. I just created a client which allows us to use auth for logging into the application. And I just created a free also Observability account, which is linked with SigNoz, where we are going to be able to send some alerts. And that's with the prerequisites. We need some environment variables to be able to keep going. Initially, you will need to export them for the generator to work, but later you can change your Kamal secrets and take them from wherever you want. Just for the sake of simplicity, I'm using environment variables, and you don't need Lightstream if you are not backing up the database. As a start, you could just try it out without that backup. I already exported them and not showing them for obvious reasons because I will keep using them. And first of all, let's start setting up our servers. Let me check the IPs. So first we have our application server, which would be this one. I'm just going to be using root, and the default setup here is with password. What I need to do is to set up Docker. I'm using the convenience script here just for simplicity. There are safer ways to install Docker. So let me do that. Let's download the script and just run it. This one is being a bit slow right now. While this one is running, let's do it on the other server as well, which is this one for analytics. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's get the script and later execute it. All right. I see here it's already executing. So this is going to set up Docker for us, which is one of the main dependencies we have. And next, I will add my SSH key so I don't need to use my password each time I'm connecting. Both of them got installed, so let me exit both servers. And now let's get our SSH key over there. So I'm going to use the root user and let me add my SSH key. So this will allow us not to use our password each time. Now we have our keys and we are ready to start setting up everything. What we can start with is setting up our SigNoz. This is going to be for metrics, traces, and logs, and it's going to take a while actually. Let's start with this one. And our metrics server IP is the only thing we need to provide. That's going to start setting up SigNoz over there. This is just a question from RailsMaker, and yes, let's proceed. This is going to install SigNoz, and this is going to take a while because the query service is really rather slow to spin up. In the meantime, we can set up Plausible CE Community Edition as well. self-hosted, so let's run it on the other terminal here. It just asks for our metrics server IP, so it's going to be the same one in this case. And some domain name, in this case, what we are preparing is analytics.railsmaker.com. And let's spin it up. Yes, continue. So this one is going to take a while, which is SigNoz, and Plausible is quicker. The next thing would be to set up our Rails application, and that's also super quick. We can use either the wizard, which is an interactive way of getting the data that we're providing here. I'm going to go for this one since it's quicker. Since these are still executing, I will open a new bash and do this over here. All right, so starting with the name of our application, it's going to be RailsMaker. That's going to create a new folder called RailsMaker. I will provide my Docker username, the IP where we want to deploy it, which is the Rails IP, the Rails applications IP. We want to be deploying this one on RailsMaker.com, and our analytics host, the one we just provided, is still analytics.railsmaker.com. And the bucket name I just created was, if I'm not mistaken, RailsMaker. Yes, RailsMaker. Basically, this is the bucket I just created here. So let's generate the new application. Here there is a summary on what we are doing, and everything is enabled. We have our basic settings, and yes, we want to proceed. And while this is installing, let's see what's going on here. SigNoz is still installing. Good thing is that we can see the Plausible is already running. So actually we are already able to access analytics.railsmaker.com. That doesn't seem to be responding yet, so maybe it's still spinning up. I'm refreshing. Yeah, now it's working already. So this could be our username setup, and this is all self-hosted, remember. Let's create an account. Plausible should be already set up. And our domain here is railsmaker.com. I'm currently in Japan, so that would be my time zone, although I might need to switch that soon. And the snippet that Plausible is going to provide us right now is not the one that we are going to use, so I will just say start collecting data, and now it's waiting for the first page view. That's okay. We don't have it yet. We haven't deployed our application. Let's see how that's going. So we see that, yeah, the RailsMaker template was already generated. So we can go to our RailsMaker site. It's a Rails application with mainly defaults, just some configurations and gems and gluing code that you will need to do to have all the dependencies that we have put on here. What we can do is already spin up the local host to have a look. Once we do that, I can see the application online. It's already running. I can go to the demo, sign up. This is all localhost. I just got inside, that's fine. Let's log out. So yeah, the application seems to be running fine. So I'm going to quit it now. Let's see if SigNoz was deployed. No, not yet. What we can do next is go back here, and after generating the app, what we can do is add our Rails credentials, and these are going to configure all the prerequisites that were mentioned. Let's do that. I will add the credentials. All right, so I just created those credentials, and if you don't know what to put in the credentials, you can check the credentials.example. So these are the ones you need to provide depending on what you have installed, but it's basically Google auth, Sentry, Mailjet, and a couple of things for the application. And I already did that, so if I look at Git status, what I can do is just commit it, add credentials. If I look at the log, you can see that there was a commit for each integration that was added. And now that we have all that, actually we are ready to deploy. So SigNoz is still deploying, but what we can do is Kamal setup, and that's going to deploy our application and also the accessories that come with it. In this case, there is one, which is Lightstream, which is going to back up our database to S3, to the buckets that we created. So let's start doing that. And this will take some minutes until it sets up everything. So it's going to deploy Thruster and the Rails application. The good thing is that you can have more than one app per server. That's one of the great benefits of this template. So you can really save some costs on this one. Okay, we already have SigNoz. Let's see if it's already running. So we can go to metrics.railsmaker.com and the port is 3301, the default one. Oh yeah, and it's already here. So let's create an account. Okay, let's get started. All right, now we have both SigNoz already deployed, Plausible already. So what we're waiting for now is for our application to be deployed. Here we can check our infrastructure monitoring, which is already measuring the memory usage and CPU usage, but it's just getting started. So really not many data points. Let's wait for our server as well. All right, so the deployment just finished. So now our application should be running. Let's have a look at that and go to RailsMaker.com. That should be working. And our Plausible is waiting for our first page view. Okay, now it just loaded. Here, Plausible should also detect that there was a visit, and it just did because it's loading. Great, so we already have analytics, and we can see that my visit is registered. And currently, our SigNoz is not yet getting our data from our application. So the only part we are missing now is to add OpenTelemetry to our app. And you have to do this once per server. So this is going to grab all the container logs from all the applications. So our application server is this one. Our metrics server is this one. And I'm setting up a Rails apps hostname so I know how to identify this server later on within SigNoz. So let's deploy this. And we have a confirmation here from RailsMaker. Yes, we want to do that. Okay, I can see SigNoz OpenTelemetry collector already got installed in the application server. So we can see already that in our infra monitoring, we see the Rails apps. We see high usage here in the SigNoz host. Maybe it's because we just spin it up. We are having very little data so far in the Rails applications, but we already can see CPU usage, memory usage, and we have also disk usage, all kind of things we could look at and create alerts for. Our SigNoz host is the one that has been running a bit more. Currently it seems a bit busy, but that goes lower with time. We can already go to the logs and see our structured logs. I can see the replication logs of the database. Also here we can see a sample of our requests in our website. So all looks good. I think we already have the full configuration. We checked our analytics, our metrics, and our application is working as well. We can log in or sign up, and we have everything working. If I go to our S3 bucket over here, it's empty. Let me refresh. And we will see that it's already backing up our production database. Okay, so we have database backup, and here we can see all of the databases being backed up, which we can recover. There is some information on the README on how to do that. So that was it. We went through the 10 steps to deploy the application, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it and this saves you sometimes, please spread the word or support the project. You can see a couple of links over here. We have a support link here or at the bottom, or in railsmaker.com, which is the one we just deployed, and you can have a look at. Thank you very much.